Well, welcome everyone to this virtual showcase session. I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Tomasso here for EU Code Week and also my colleague Suzanne. It's day 5 of the virtual showcase, and there's also more events coming up later, which I'll explain in a little moment. So for those of you who don't know, my name's Peter Marshman, and I'm one of the CAS outreach managers here. As is Suzanne, who's also joining us today as moderator, and she'll be looking after the question window. So there's a little orange box you should see with an arrow that will open up your question window. So if you've got any questions for Tomasso as he runs through his presentation, please drop them in. You don't need to wait to the end, and we'll feed them back to Tomasso as the presentation continues. Also, just to let you know that please do share your thoughts and your views as we go through this presentation, and you can do that on the various social media channels as well as we work through this session. And the hashtag for that is CASVirtual21. So really, I think the best thing to start off is just to tell you a little bit more about Tomasso here, and a big thank you for joining us today. So Tomasso della Baccia, I hope I've got that right, has been working at European Schoolnet since 2012, and he's responsible for relations with public and private bodies supporting European Schoolsnet. In the field of innovation and education. He's currently coordinating contributions to the EU Code Week programme, which is a bit like ours, a grassroots movement that celebrates creativity, problem solving, programming, and just a whole range of other tech activities. So I'm really looking forward to this really insightful presentation. And what I'm going to do now is hand you straight over to Tomasso, who's going to take us through this. Tomasso, over to you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Suzanne, for this invitation. It's always a great pleasure to be with you all, and especially to having the chance to interact with teachers from other countries and really get your insight as well. So thanks very much for allowing me to be with you today. As Peter mentioned, well, I have several hats or t-shirts, and in this case, I'm wearing the orange Code Week t-shirt because, yes, I have the pleasure and the honor to kind of coordinate a bit the input that we provide to this campaign as European Schoolnet. So just as a quick needed information, European Schoolnet is a network of ministries of education across Europe and beyond, and we try to advocate for innovation in schools, in teaching and learning, really. So Code Week is one of the initiatives that we're proud to support. There are many others that you might find interesting and relevant. So very happy also to get in touch with any of you if you would like to explore more. Now, more on the topic of today, we're going to see a bit what this initiative is about, a bit more in details, what's in it for teachers, and then I've also hope that I can ask your feedback and your ideas in a couple of reflection points that I would like to have with you, because first of all, this initiative is for teachers, by teachers, and well, you'll see the purpose of it really cannot be formulated within the support of the community, firstly. So what is Code Week? Once again, is a grassroots initiative. So it really relies on a very large community of educators, teachers, especially from primary and secondary school, but also for pre-primary, university, research centers, coding clubs, and so on. And it's run by volunteers, first of all. It was established in 2013, so it's quite a few years that we've been running this campaign and this initiative, and is a bit the European way, if we want to look at that in that way, of trying to promote computational thinking, coding, tech-related activities. It's similar and complementary, if you like, to what Code.org is also trying to achieve. In fact, we work with them to try to promote this skill set within school and beyond it. But of course, we try to do that possibly with the appreciation of all the diversity that we have in our continent and in the different educational systems and sensitivities about technology and technology in education. The idea is to bring ideas to life with code. So it's really not just about teaching students how to program or to code, but to stimulate their digital creativity, their confidence, their understanding, and to make them explore and learn about the digital world that surrounds them. So that's really the main objective that we have with this campaign. It's supported by the European Commission, but as you will see, and as you have certainly noticed, it's an initiative that is pretty much global, and it tries to take down barriers instead to focus on specific countries. Now, we have also a relatively humanistic way of looking at programming and coding, and I wanted to include in this slide this quote from Alessandro Bogliolo, who is the EU Code Week Ambassadors Coordinator. You saw that Peter is one of the EU Code Week Ambassadors for UK. More specifically, Alessandro has this role of coordinating a bit the whole network of volunteers that support the initiative in the countries. And I wanted to include that here because it just makes clear that we want to focus on coding as a way to create, as a way to make things, to give shape to our present and our future. And that's why we think it's really fundamental to have this competence included in the learning path and the learning curve of each and every student. Is really an empowering skill set. I'm sure I'm preaching the choir as you would say, but it's important to pass this message further because there's also quite some resistance to these ideas, as well as maybe people may think that other subjects are more relevant, more important, more traditionally fundamental to education. Coding, digital literacy, digital creativity are also fundamental skills to be developed with belief, and we try to achieve that with this initiative. Finally, it's also important to mention why we focus so much on schools. This is a bit of a value and philosophical foundation that we have for this campaign, and this has been the direction that was taken really only a few years ago, before when the initiative was designed and set up. The objective would be to leverage, for instance, the civil society, the private sector, coding clubs to empower them, make them grow, make them multiply. But we noticed in a way that all these initiatives and opportunities, they tend to be offered over and over to those people that are able to grab them, or to those families and backgrounds that are already a bit advantaged. So we saw that it was very relevant to focus instead of schools as institutions where every child should have the chance to set the basis for thriving in life. So that, first of all, was the objective, and still is, to involve schools and teachers in this initiative, to offer all students the possibility to make their first steps as digital creators. So that was the emphasis on the all students, on the inclusiveness of this movement. We can definitely call it a movement. We think also that coding can empower and make students develop a better understanding of the world that surrounds them. So there's what now we could call the digital age. And then it goes then beyond the development of a skill set, but also it goes into the development of a mindset, of a responsibility, also a digital citizenship responsibility that we want our students to have. And then there's also a third objective, which is to speed up innovation in education systems. So our approach to coding, as you will see in some examples I will make, is very much cross-curricular. So we try to promote the integration of computing as a topic, as a subject, of course, but also as a teaching or a pedagogical practice as well that can integrate in any discipline or subject. So in that sense, we think that that can also speed up education systems to innovate and to properly use ICT devices, systems, applications, and resources. I wanted to share also with you a picture of one of the gatherings of the ambassadors and the edu coordinators, just to show you that indeed behind this initiative, this portal, all these resources, there really is a large network, very much international, of experts, representative of ministries of education, ambassadors, representative of national agencies as BCS, as CAS. So it's definitely an effort that we do all together to promote this message and this philosophy to the larger public, and especially to teachers and schools. In some countries, certainly this is already a reality. Computing is really part of the curriculum. In others, it's really not the case. So we're trying to create this common space where for everybody, for every teachers and every school, is clear the importance to include digital creativity in their lessons, in their courses, in their curricula. And just also briefly who participates to this initiative. That's also very relevant to say. This movement is, as tried to mention at the beginning, is very inclusive. So is very open to anybody to join any kind of organization, and we try to keep it that way and even improve this component of that. So we focus very much on schools, teachers, and students, but we are open to everybody to propose ways to contribute to these initiatives and make sure all European citizens, in a way, have the chance to move their steps into the field of digital creativity and have a say and build their confidence and being empowered in this domain. So in this map, this is just cut out of the world map that we will see also with Peter a bit later on, where everybody pin their activities that are related to computing, to coding, to digital creativity. And these are organized by or targeting children, pupils, students, adults, job seekers, seniors, parents, entrepreneurs, policymakers. So it is really open to everybody. And I just wanted to stress that because it's fundamental that we focus on all of these categories in a way without leaving anybody behind. Just also to focus a bit on some practicalities, the Code Week has the advantage that offers everybody, regardless of their previous experience in coding or computing, the chance to move their first steps and even to organize activities for others. So there's support to instructional design, to through educational resources, but also for material for trainings and workshops that we provide for free, translated in all the languages. Of course, not necessarily relevant to the UK, as you would work well with the English version, which is always the first to be created and published. But here it's just a recommendation and an invitation to take a look at the how-to page on the specific page that we develop for schools, really, on how to boost their participation in the campaign, and visit the resources page for more ideas on how to organize activities, how to pin them on the map, and also how to include coding in your lessons, even without any devices. We are very agnostic in terms of the technology or devices that we would promote. In fact, we wouldn't promote any devices or any specific system at all. We just try to have also an overview, especially of all the open sources materials and tools that are available, and then add into that maybe additional examples. But again, it's very important also that this trust that we build with this enlarged community is kept alive and strong. Now, before continuing and looking a bit more in details on what you might find useful in the campaign, I would like to invite you to just respond to this question following this, just going to menti.com, which I'm sure you're familiar with, and entering this code 85655109, or screening this QR code, just to reflect just for a few minutes about what can we teach or learn collaterally by engaging in coding activities. So I know that I think I know that in the UK, computing is indeed very present in the curriculum, at least from a policy perspective, and also because of all the work that has been done for training teachers and empowering them to teach computing to their students. Now, what I would like you to focus a bit is on what, and wait a second, maybe before I keep talking, I should actually launch the poll. I would like you to reflect for a few minutes about what you can teach collaterally to your students by engaging in coding activities. Okay, that's great, because I see actually that you're already contributing to this exercise. Maybe I can read aloud a few ones. Engineering life cycle. This is very interesting and original, I must say. It's definitely also in that project-based learning that we engage often in coding-related activities. That's absolutely one of the things that can be taught collaterally to students. Testing, debugging, that's also very important. Exploring diversity, exploring wide collaboration, and the opportunity to join teachers and students from different cultures to explore computing in their school. That's very interesting, very elaborated, and I think we will get back to that specific point later on. Creativity, thanks for that as well. This is one of my favorite ones. I think we often focus on technical aspect, but indeed the creativity element is something that can also possibly help bridge an eventual gender imbalance in the sector and in this skill set. Exploring different roles in computing and how these opportunities differ in different countries. That's very interesting, and it reassures me on the value of this initiative for international audiences. Prototyping, planning skills, reviewing and testing cycle. I think I can hear that we're getting to something quite elaborated and definitely very helpful for our students' future and for them thriving in also in the job market, which is not first priority, but definitely something that should be always there in our thinking. Logical thinking skills, critical thinking, contextual computing, exploring the why behind computing. That's absolutely very relevant, and thanks a lot for all your answers. They're very, very much appreciated. So now we can continue. I'll have a few more questions for you later on, but with this reflection, what I wanted to, the point that I wanted to make is that, especially in Code Week, the idea is not to promote computing as a subject necessarily. Then some countries, of course, included computing as a subject, and that's something that we support and that we are happy with. But we try also to familiarize people and teachers with the different type of skills and competencies that they can develop together themselves or in their students by engaging in coding activities. And you will see in the type of educational and training resources we produced so far that this is an underlying objectives really. So thanks for that. Now, maybe before going to the next question, Peter, I would like to just ask you to say a few words, possibly on the Code Week, how it contextualized in the UK, if you like, and how do you see the initiative being relevant in your country?
Thanks, Tomasso. Yeah, I will add in just a few points here. I think first of all, get over to the EU Code Week website, and although it's kind of 2 weeks of activities, what I've come to notice is those activities don't just exist within 2 weeks. In fact, there are activities throughout the whole year. So it's something to really kind of explore wider and keep that open. There are a whole load. There's a good list here that's helping me with this. There's some really good training modules on there as well. So there's a really great resource page. You'll notice some of the contributors are some that you will hear from CAS, well-known members of CAS. So there's a number of training modules there, but also there's some resources that you can upload. So if you've got any wonderful resources that you want to share with the rest of the world, it's a great place to drop them there. In terms of what your Code Week activity could be for 2 weeks, it really is completely open. So to give you an example, last year I worked with a couple of I think it was about 6 or 7 schools, and we had just a big event at our local science research centre, and we just had a carousel of coding activities. But we had kind of like a different kind of cultural theme and country theme to those activities. So you could do something where you're working with other schools, but of course it could just be your own code club or your own kind of activity in your curriculum that might be slightly different, where you want to explore coding on a kind of a wider and more diverse level. So on the EU Code Week website, there's so many kind of resources you can flick through to get an idea what people are doing, and I think we'll come to this shortly, but there's also a map where you can pin your activities, so you can look at what other activities are going on in your local area, for example, that you may not have realized, whether that's computing focused or engineering focused. But I've also found it a really useful way of gaining new kind of connections with teachers in other countries and exploring collaboration. In fact, there was one project a couple of years ago I was involved with it was called KICS, so Kids Inspiring Kids. And we did a great kind of project-based virtual session with groups of 15-year-olds from different schools across the world, and came together at the end to celebrate it. So it doesn't matter how small it is or how big your event is, it's a great community to get involved with. And we've put a link to the Facebook page in the chat window, and it's again another great community of teachers, and you find obviously very different ideas that we might explore in our curriculum as well across the world. So definitely do have a look at that and get involved. I think the last point on Tomasso's slide here is the massive open online courses. So there's normally like a computational thing, Tomasso can correct me here, there's normally like a computational thinking kind of course that you can get involved with, just kind of pre-Code Week or during Code Week that's released, and many teachers kind of engage in that kind of yearly kind of professional development, I guess, as you could say. But I might leave Tomasso to maybe explore that a little bit further with you. But yeah, they're my thoughts. I hope that's okay. And I'll hand back over to Tomasso. Tomasso, I think. I'm not sure if you're on mute, Tomasso, or it might be my computer.
Okay, so it doesn't seem to work anymore.
We've got you back, Tomasso. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was my side or your side, but we've got you back, and that's the most important thing.
Thanks for that. Thanks for not letting me in the limbo. No, but and I was saying that no, I think you really did a very good overview of what's in it for teachers, really, and thank you for that. And I'm also happy that it's relevant for UK teachers as well, because we are actually organizing activities and producing resources for the whole world. In a way, we have that ambition. We translate them in 29 languages to give you an idea of the extent of the audience that we try to cater for. Then, of course, educational systems, sensibilities, or interests are very diverse within this community. And on the massive open online courses, thanks for mentioning that. It's indeed something that I think it could be interesting for you. It doesn't focus necessarily only on computational thinking. So every year we come with different topics, always related to digital literacy, media literacy. We try to focus as much as we can on computing, of course, but then we have different angles that look at maybe more societal issues or topics that are very relevant at the moment. Last year, the last course we organized and ran was, for instance, on AI in education. So it looked at something that teachers were pushed to integrate in their curriculum already, maybe informally, and they wouldn't have the chance to get trained on that. So we tried to create this community, and all these courses are extremely participatory. We say that it's based on connectivism, and through a connectivist approach, we try to make sure that this professional development of teachers happens through relations and through exchange and peer learning. So the next one that will certainly be organized throughout at the beginning of the next school year, it will happen between September and October, will focus on the integration of computing in different subjects. So still with this kind of collateral approach. So I think it might be interesting for you. It's completely open and free, and it doesn't take too much time to attend. And this time we might, and this is just a tentative announcements, we might try to have even a hybrid approach, meaning that we'll try to encourage that part of the course at least happens locally in groups of teachers that would build together these maybe lesson plans and activities that then can share with teachers from other countries and work with them as well. These elements also are, again, I think it's also a great way to really start a meaningful cooperation with schools from other countries or from your neighborhoods as well. Why not? So absolutely. And the Facebook group is also dedicated to teachers. So you'll see several, it's about more than 20,000 teachers that are there now posting their news, what they're proud of, their teaching resources, their materials, their initiatives, and looking for partners and colleagues, like-minded people there. So also highly recommended if you are exploring or expanded your personal learning network also through social media and through Facebook, of course. Now let's see what else I would like to tell you. Well, yeah, we were mentioning the learning resources. I think this is something that you might find interesting. We developed since we joined the initiative very few. Okay, I'm just checking if I'm still connected. I don't know if you can confirm.
We can still hear you fine. Yeah, we can hear you fine. You're all good.
Got a pop-up message saying that I was disconnected from the server. That's fine. So this is one example. It's a Learning Bit is a unit, a small professional development unit that provide teachers with, in a video, in a short text, the background, the necessary information on tackling a specific subject with a coding related activity, or that look at specific way of teaching coding or digital creativity in the classroom. Provides teacher, therefore, with this basic knowledge, with a video, and with 3 lesson plans for each learning bit. And each lesson plan is normally referred to one level of education. So if you're a primary or secondary teacher, you would find something that is specifically relevant for your student's age. You have also the chance to, and I picked this specific one because it's quite original in the sense that is trying to give examples on how you can integrate coding for teaching about sustainable development goals, for instance. So very diverse fields maybe, but then that it can be combined by integrated coding as a teaching in a way methodology. And we have focused on 3 of them specifically. So ensure healthy lives and promote well-being. You would find their lesson plan for combined sports and coding, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. So again, more of a guidance to design your lessons in a more gender inclusive way. That's because obviously the technological and the digital sector really it's extremely unbalanced in that sense, and we think of course it might be an interesting skill set and competence and to have for everybody, and also in terms of job opportunities. And then the third lesson plan is about how to combat climate change and its impact on the environment. So again, very diverse topics, but with something in common, which is a playful and engaging and hopefully fun way of teaching and learning digital literacy and coding through these activities. So these learning bits help your students be one step ahead. For instance, by teaching about specific concept. We also have some learning bits about artificial intelligence. It allows you to discuss relevant global issues with your students while including technology or technology-related activities, get ideas on how to adapt coding activities to blended learning environments. We, especially during the pandemic, we focus on giving some resources and some suggestions for that as well, even though I'm sure you have plenty of material yourself already. First of all, and most importantly, also to have fun with your students, learning about new platforms, games, sports, tools, technologies, and then to participate in Code Week 2021. Just like a little promotion for the campaign, which I hope you will join in the future if you haven't already. There's also the possibility, and this it resonates with many schools and teachers, to get certificate out of your participation. If you register an activity and you carry that out and you report on that, you get the certificate of participation, which for some teachers and some schools it's important, and of course we promote that. You can also participate to a more ambitious challenge, which is the Code for All challenge. And if you manage to organize 10 activities, so to join together 10 activities that should be organized by as many different organizers, or if you manage to bring together activities from 3 different countries, you all would get a certificate of excellence at the end of the year, of the calendar year. So it's really a fun opportunity and a great way to exchange a build project with like-minded teachers from other countries. So yeah, I hope you're kind of ready to join the adventure. These are in numbers a bit what was achieved so far, just to give an example of the audience that we managed to engage in this campaign. Normally, in the past 2 years, even though the pandemic hit, we had the chance to involve a few millions of teachers and students in the initiative. So we're extremely pleased at that. We had about 72,000 activities being organized across the globe. And so absolutely something that that we would encourage you to engage in. Now, as I've promised, I would like also to just do a last exercise with you on Multimeter. So the code is the same as before. I would love if you could participate to answer just 2 last questions. that would really help me also tailor the campaign eventually in the coming months, so for it to be relevant to you as well. So the link remains the same, and now you should be able to fill in the second question. And what I'm asking you is to answer why, if anything, you would like to join Code Week. So it would be basically to complete the sentence, I would join Code Week if it would allow me to. And there you have some options, and it would be great if you could rate if you agree or disagree with some of these statements, just to understand a bit how you see yourself there, if anything. So I'm just receiving the first inputs already. I'll leave you 1 minute to read it in quiet. And a bit to my surprise, I can already tell you that you would like to join if it would allow you to find new approaches to teach and learn. Computing is the one that is rating the highest so far. Also to exchange with teachers from other countries and to teach my subject in a more engaging way. So I see that the recognition for your efforts as teachers is less of a priority for you as it is letting your students exchange with foreign students. But that's of course very personal. Thanks a lot for answering these questions. And then finally, if you would like to add any other thoughts or any other reasons for which you would like to join, please do fill in the next question that should have now appeared on your screen. And as you can also do it later on, no worries about that. Also, because we are kind of towards the end of the presentation, so thanks a lot for contributing with your answers to the Menti exercise. That's always very helpful and inspiring, actually, to have the feedback of educators across Europe. I let you hear some contacts to get in touch. I know that you have the handouts, so no need to spend too much time on it. And finally, I would also get back to Peter in case you would like to say a few more words about pinning your activity on the map.
Right, Tomasso. Yeah, just a quick one for me, really. Just to say, I know a number of you probably watching are possibly community leaders that run your, community meetings. These things can be posted on the EU map as well, so they can be events with teachers, or they can be events with pupils, students. Any of those sort of activities, any professional development, can all go on the world map, and just to showcase the wonderful work that you're all doing in your schools around coding. I think that's pretty much it from me. To access the map, you literally just go on the EU Code Week website, and then you can just click on map, and you can just submit your entry directly from there, and you get a lovely certificate of participation for your efforts in sharing what you're doing. Thank you, Tomasso. That's great. I'm just, I think we've probably got time for maybe one question just at the end. So I'm just going to see if Suzanne's got any questions that have come in. Suzanne, is there a question you can pick out there that we can maybe end on?
Just one, I think, which would just help teachers get started, really. So are there any projects or resources that teachers can access to get Code Week started at their school? It's just a starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. Just checking that you can hear me. Yes, I guess yeah. You can. Perfect. My recommendation would be to start from the learning base. So maybe I can share the link to that page directly, or and actually it's helpful to look at the school page. Really, that leads you through the different phases that you can follow. Here you have it organized in a way that whether you have experience or not in teaching coding, you get either directly to the teaching resources or on the instructions to pin your activities on the map, and to the instructions, for instance, on participating to the Code Week for All challenge. If you're new to the initiative as well, what I would really recommend is to join the massive open online course that we will launch in September. Whether you complete that or not, it's absolutely fine. Nothing prevents you to join and take bits and pieces of what you see there. But it definitely will accompany you step by step to organize activities, possibly also with teachers from other countries, and have a very meaningful project to run during Code Week. And that leaves me also the chance to just remind you that, okay, we focus the celebration in those 2 weeks in October, but Code Week is really has the ambition to make sure that across the whole year, teachers and students can engage in these activities cooperatively and with their international counterparts. So it's really not just for the week; it's for the whole school year, possibly.
Great, thank you, Tomasso, and thank you, Suzanne, for all of the entries into the chat and handling all the questions. So, Tomasso, you've just put the last slide on, which I think summarizes everything. That's how you can get involved with the social handles. You've got the slides available in handouts that you should be able to see and download from the window. So I'm just going to spend the last minute just saying a massive thank you for Tomasso for dropping in and sharing all that insightful information with us today. Thank you, Suzanne, for supporting me with this session. Just to let you know, there's a recording of the webinar that will be available on the CAS YouTube channel within can't say that within due course. And also, when you leave the webinar, there will be a short feedback form that will appear on your screen. Really be fantastic if you could spend a little bit of time just completing that very short survey. That's always really useful for us here. And just to let you know that if you haven't already seen, the virtual showcase carries on for another week. So we've got another week of fantastic webinars that you can find out through the CAS community page. And of course, later on this afternoon, I believe John Chip is doing a wonderful session on Barefoot Live with a cyber focus. So that's definitely one not to be missed as well. So thank you, everyone. Have an absolutely wonderful rest of the day, and of course, a wonderful weekend coming up. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and congratulations for the whole program. Very happy I had the chance to be with you.
Thanks, Tomasso. Brilliant. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.